one of the more unheralded parts of this campaign that we just witnessed, which I hope becomes more obvious to people. We can't automatically fix the infrastructural problems of this country. Those are too deeply embedded. But what I hope does come of this is that there are enough people that start to wake up to the reality of the consultant industrial complex that plays a outsized role in why we can't have nice things, because the propaganda is thick. It is very, very thick. And as we have alluded to, you know, Bernie comes out and makes a statement that he should have made a while back. Frankly, he should have made it as soon as Joe Biden said the parliamentarian won't let me raise the minimum wage. But what we have seen, and we're going to play a couple of clips here, is this is what the consultant industrial complex is all about. It's not about winning or losing. It's about maintaining these well-paid, cushy jobs on the Beltway. And it doesn't matter if the country goes to hell. The country already is going to hell. I mean, I think most people would agree to that. But what some of these people are just painfully saying is, no, we're not austerity hawks enough. We don't do enough of that. That's the real problem here. And so here is Philippe Reigns. He goes by, he's Philip, but he spells it Philippe because, you know, he's sophisticated. Wouldn't judge that based on the way he dresses. But nevertheless, he's just one of several. But here's what he had to say on CNN with a bunch of the other moron heads that unfortunately say the same bullshit.
I don't agree with you, or saying that's not representative of the bulk of us. It's like Medicare for all is not something that the bulk of the Democratic Party believes in. But
you see, right there, when you make a statement that statistical data, listen, it's one thing if you said the country over because we know how bad the propaganda is. But if there's one thing we learned from the Bernie campaign, specifically in 2016, is that anywhere from 80 to 90% of Democrats agree with single payer healthcare.
Most of the country does.
And usually 60% of Republicans agree with single payer healthcare. So this is a consultant class paid talking point. I hope that there are enough people out there who are starting to listen to this and think, yeah, that does sound kind of ridiculous. Just a thought. We'll continue.
Yet, we spend tons of time on it. Now, on immigration, there are people who do believe, and I think I buy into it, that part of the problem we've had as Democrats is that we have gotten pulled to the left so far that we can't make common sense decisions. And look at I worked for Hillary.
The radical left, man.
With Bernie.
Oh my God.
Bernie, you know, went after Biden. I shouldn't say went after. He entered the primary. There's no evidence that the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party has met with any success or represents this party.
You're right. Most of them have left anyway.
I was just going to say, all you had to do was rig an entire primary. I mean, listen. They clearly don't have any sway because you decided to rig it. So,
how does this this guy, seriously?
And to think that this guy's worked on 3 presidential campaigns, that's impressive and well paid too. And you can tell by the way he's dressed that he really doesn't like getting up for these TV gigs unless it's paying well. So just
oh my God, this guy.
We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna continue every time someone on the hard left says, "Oh, you can't do that." We're all gonna paralyze. I mean, I don't know.
Can someone stop? Who's hard left?
For people to start saying what they say on, you know, WhatsApp and Twitter and whatever it is, that this is enough already. People can't. The PC police doesn't just apply to Republicans. It applies to, I don't know what I call myself. I just call myself a Democrat. I'm not a progressive. I'm not
a loser. A loser.
To the right of some Republicans on some topics.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Where to go with that? Where to go? So I am still waiting for the example. And I hear other people saying this, by the way, in regular life, that the problem is the hard left, the radical left is pulling the Democrats in their, and I'm like, what are you smoking? Like, I feel like we can't get them to even be center. They're right of center. So I don't understand. Who's the radical left pulling the Democrats left? Who?
Well,
AOC?
Well,
not a soul.
To be fair, and I will say this, guys, we have 100 people watching live right now. Hit that like button if you haven't. We're doing pretty good here. We're growing. We're totally growing. We're the biggest, the greatest. We're totally out there. You know, Steve, the one thing I think you can agree with on in terms of the evolution that we have gone through, we would probably 4 or 5 years ago especially post what happened to Bernie in 2016, we would listen to a guy like that and become enraged and be like, "This bastard! How could he say such
I
a
am
thing?"
enraged. I don't understand how you say I'm enraged.
No, but the difference in the disposition now is I look at a guy like that makes that statement, I just laugh at him.
Well,
I'm like, you are such a pompous ass. You are not even worthy of a critique because everything you say is horseshit propaganda of the highest order.
Absolutely. Look, I want to say this real quick. You all saw the picture, or actually the video, I'm sure, of the hospital tent that was melting on the guy with the IV still in him, and he's reaching up and all that stuff, right?
yeah, of course.
I want to be crystal clear about this. For anybody out there that doesn't recognize that happened right then, right? Like that wasn't like off in 5 years after you've had your sensibilities stroked and you feel comfortable with, oh, okay, I'm ready to change now. I got it, Steve. You can calm down. You don't have to be so coarse and angry, right? You can be gentle and sweet as he's sitting there. I mean, just think about it. There's pictures of mothers holding their children dead under the gravel, and they unearth them, and there's the mom holding the kid to the last breath, trying to protect her child. And these people can't be bothered. They're like, your tone bothers me. Why can't you be nicer? People need more time. That motherfucker died because you needed to feel comfortable. Think about that. Every time you get in your feels, every time you have a moment where you're going, gosh, that was just, he's just a little angry, and it just, right? Every time you go that path, just remember someone's dying while you're whining.
Oh, yeah.
And I have gotten to the point now where I recognize that all the tone police came out after Bernie fell in line with Hillary, after Bernie fell in line with Biden. This time around, as Bernie endorsed Kamala. This every time. Now, Bernie comes out after the election to do what all Democrats do. I give it about T-minus 8 seconds in counting before suddenly the Democrats say, what about a Green New Deal? Aren't we in a climate crisis? Oh my God. Climate crisis. Yes, we are. But you fuckheads, because you're so goddamn full of shit, didn't say anything when you had the House. Didn't say anything when you had the presidency. Hey, Biden, why didn't you stack the court during your time to get rid of the Roe decision to fix these problems? Because after all, it's a crisis of democracy. The nation is going to die if Donnie Tiny Hands gets in there. Why did he not stack the court? Look, the theatrical performance starts wearing thin after you stop accepting it, okay? Once you stop accepting it, you feel like you're being punked, okay? And I cannot, in good conscience, turn my rage down again. I allowed fuckheads to shut me down when I was talking about MMT, talking about austerity, watching people die without food, without fucking shelter, watching the fucking shithead Biden administration turn student loans back on because he purposely used that emergency act that he knew would not give him the right for this, instead of using the education bill that had already been passed that would have given him every right to do it. He didn't want to do it. But dumb motherfuckers say, oh, Joe, he's doing great things about student debt. These political hacks that you had in that last segment, people listen to that and they go, yeah, you know what? You're right. If you watch Destiny had this great tweet. I hate Destiny. Wait till you hear this.
I hate him too.
Wait till you hear this. I want to read this to you because I want you to understand how absolutely fucking evil these people are. Okay? Here's what Destiny said. Fuck you, Destiny, by the way. If Kamala ends up winning, the entire far left, the commies, tankies, the Hamas supporters, etc., need to be fucking jettisoned for the party. We don't need them to win elections. We can't turn out our own base, and they are an absolute fucking cancer to be associated with.
Keep in
Right
mind,
there.
Yeah, well, that and it's ironic that they say things like that when in fact the people that they're speaking of, which are people like us, haven't been with them anyway. So I don't know who they're talking about. Like, who are the us people that are still with them? There are nobody.
And Destiny, even though that's not your real name, Destiny is a bread tuber right down here in Miami, Florida, and he is another David Pakman, another over the top cuck of a male who just somehow gets a lot of clicks. I think it's a lot of like shame clicks because some people just like to watch the car wreck. But this guy is so out of step with reality. And when you are the person who's basically saying, yeah, what we really need to do is purge any type of populist left movement out of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
That's what we must do.
I want them to. I would like them to do that because then they're going to be who they are, which will be this small little niche of they will be irrelevant because there will be a small little group of white elitists. Like, good, that's what they are. Let them be what they are.
I think about this. I personally like Joe Rogan. He may not be everybody's cup of tea, but and he of course is at the very top. But the point is that if you have the opportunity to speak with any of the adjacent, YouTubers, if you will, Jen was on Tim Pool once. It's like, yeah, you may not agree with them, but you would rather speak with people like that than somebody like Destiny. And Destiny is supposed to be a representative voice for the Democratic Party. Listen, keep talking, buddy. You're going to continue to keep people out of the party faster than you can see it coming. So please keep talking. It actually is a good thing. And we're gonna let one more shit lib talk.
Who
Steve,
is this?
We're not
who are
done
we?
yet.
Who do we get now?
I don't
who
remember. I think this may be Jake Sullivan. I could be wrong. I think this is who it is. But this is another example of a person who decided that when they heard that Bernie Sanders had somewhat of a critique about the Democratic Party and what they did during this election and really didn't know the direction they really should have been going in. Well, sure enough, we showed you CNN. Here's MSNBC.
Senator Bernie Sanders issued this critical statement, starting with, "It should come as no great surprise that the Democratic Party, which has abandoned working class people, would find that the working class has abandoned them." Now, DNC chair James Harrison, he blasted that, calling it straight up BS, saying that Biden was the most pro-worker president of his lifetime.
Yeah.
What is the problem here? Is it messaging? Is it policy? And how do Democrats fix either one?
Yes. Look, Bernie Sanders has a long history of being contrarian with his own party, and of course, his comments are pretty self-serving.
Steve, what kind of a name is Brendan Buck, and how would you describe the background? Like,
it would be a good porn name if it weren't this guy,
or like Buck Adams or something like that. You know how you can tell when you're talking to somebody who just, he's in Washington, D.C., because all you have to do is look at his background. Look at the bookshelf, look at the desk, look at, again, it's so stereotypical. And
who
yet,
is this?
He's nobody. He's just an MSNBC political analyst who knows more than Bernie Sanders knows.
Wow.
That goes without saying.
He's absolutely tried to maintain an image of fighting for the working class, but I would also argue that if Bernie Sanders was running in this election, he would have gotten defeated quite handily. And we know that in part because Kamala Harris did better in his own state than Bernie Sanders did. So I think we have to take.
How much money did Bernie spend on campaigning in his own state? How much money did Kamala Harris spend?
Bernie
on
probably spent like a couple $100 just to do it. I mean, how much money could Bernie possibly spend campaigning?
Steve, honestly, if he spent more than 100,000, I'd be surprised. Kamala probably spent a few million, and we know that didn't all go to campaigning purposes. But I digress.
Take what Bernie Sanders has to say with a grain of salt. I do think that it is great that Democrats are, at least at the moment, grappling with what happened here. An important part of their coalition walked away from them this cycle, and it is a very
but Bernie's full of shit,
changing.
Right? He is full of shit, but
electorate.
Not for this reason.
And they just pretend like this was all about racism or misogyny, and not to say there wasn't some of that, I'm sure. But if that's, if you're just angry about that and you don't explore what else is going on here, you're going to keep losing because there's a lot of other factors at play. There's no one thing that decided this election. I think if there is one big thing, it's probably just that the economy stunk for too long and people were upset about it. It can be that simple.
Now, see, now
but when you have
therein,
people who've been
it's
voting
not
for
wrong.
Democrats for years and years and years, and all of a sudden decide you're no longer for them, that's earth-shaking. And I don't think that it's necessarily permanent. I think the Republican Party is going to run into a lot of issues itself when it tries to be the working class party. I don't think it's going to be the party of unions when rubber hits the road. So there's still an opportunity, I think, for Democrats. They just need to accept that there's a lot going on here, and it's not just the simple answers.
Yeah, keep bashing Bernie.
That'll
that's
solve
the
the
way to do
problem.
it. Yes, absolutely.
You know, let me do a little assist on the bashing of Bernie momentarily. Homeboy Bonanza, during this entire opportunity to expose a Wall Street scumbag, stayed quiet and said, "My good friend," or endorse. I endorse. Yeah, I proudly voted for Kamala. He put one of his tweets, "I proudly voted for Kamala today." Okay. Now, people will always defend Bernie. I've stopped. It's not my job to defend Bernie anymore. Now I take him. If you stayed silent when the killing was going on, I don't give a rat's fuck if you started saying it now. Okay. Because he knew more than any of us will ever know. He knew. He not only had the opportunity to watch TikTok, he got to see official video. He knew.
Right.
Okay. And so he stayed silent. Anybody can defend him till the cows come home. You knock yourself out. If you find some sort of weird, uppance about doing that, knock yourself out. I'm here for my family. I'm here for people, regular people. And that kind of bullshit of playing the party line, no way. No, because I don't care whether or not he or anybody else gets elected. He knew people were being slaughtered. Doesn't matter by what mechanism, he knew it. And he largely stayed silent. And he defended the people that said they're not going to stop doing it. Okay, period. He defended the people that said they're not going to stop doing it. In fact, he told everyone to vote for the person that said, "I will not stop doing it." Okay. And so as a result of this, when I listened to that jackass, I had this flashback to grocery shopping the other day. I was talking to somebody in the car on it. I said, "You ever walk into the grocery store and see those people who have different skin? You could just see the affluenza dripping off them. Their facial effect is different because they've never had to worry about paying their electric bill in their life. You see that just the guys wear these custom pink sweatshirts and white shorts. And it's like, I love pink, but it's just affluenza out the wazoo, and they don't have any clue, and they don't want to be inconvenienced by anything. Okay. The problem we're dealing with now is that half of us believe that we're capitalists, that believe we're someday going to be rich people. And there's this big, huge, fat shit of rich people and people that are doing well that are standing in between the rest of the working class, desperate, fighting, silencing them. Because bad people in that other area want you to be really kind and sweet and talk in gentle tones because everybody's not quite caught up yet, right? But the people dying down here, they're screaming. And, you watch crime go up and it's like, well, I wonder why there's criminals. Oh, shit, there's this linkage, this one-to-one linkage with poverty and people desperate trying to get through life. There's all these moments that unfortunately we are filled with those kinds of consultants in our everyday life. They're real people that behave that way, think that way, act that way, talk that way. And when you go to the office space and you're sitting there at the water cooler, you can tell the people that have affluenza in the office as well. And you see them everywhere. So we're dealing with a society that has been split by people that want to hold on to what they got and people who are desperate and dying. Okay. You watch Occupy Democrats and the other 98% or whatever the fuck their bullshit is called. Right. And they're sitting there talking about the greatest economy in the world. And they're showing you the stock market. They're saying the stock market's up. It's a great economy. What are you people bitching about? This is the class analysis that is lacking. This is the fundamental flaw. And I tell you what, people in the MMT community that I have frequently supported in the past, there's some of them that I've cut ties with. Warren Mosler went out there and told everyone, Hey, you know what? This isn't a genocide. There's no genocide. Goodbye, Warren.